Welcome to the AZ Wildcats podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX, the #1 sports book app in the entire country. Check it out, in the entire world. All right, now, joined by the big dog, I affectionately call the big dog, Mr. Brody Dryden. Big dog, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure to be back on the pod.
All right, so you were there in the trenches. I was up in the press box, but
we can't all be as cool as you, Mike.
Well, we also don't get to all call games from courtside as well, so I'll put it to you like that. But and again, already got a bunch of comments coming in. Back the A, Kobe Thiel, Yavapai. We're going to get all of that, and then by the way, KB Thiel, was that Brody I heard on the pregame the other day? If so, sounded like it. Brody, you want to confirm?
Absolutely. I can confirm. Doing it with Kyle Quinn. He's a great, from playing in the late Stoops, early Rich Rod era, and I've been doing it with him. So it's been a good time this season. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk this game, though. You were sitting in the trenches, though, around a bunch of Bison fans. And first of all, I'm going to give them this. They definitely traveled very well. I will give them that. I was also incredibly annoyed, though, and I'll tell you this. I've never had this happen. I was going up in the elevator into the press box, and this guy who was with the Bison, he just kept hitting me in the arm saying, "Go Bison, go Bison, go Bison." And I'm like, finally, I just said, "Dude, don't touch me." And then like it was funny, the security guard in there, she said, "Sir, I've already told you to stop touching people like that." And I was like, I've never seen that.
He's a repeat offender. That wasn't his
He's a
first.
repeat offender. And I just wanted to say, dude, and at that point, I'm like, man, I really hope Arizona wins, which they did. Arizona wins. They're now 2-1 on the season. I think everybody, and I think Lawrence Castillo puts it perfectly here. 2-1 is pretty amazing. Great job. Big dog, if I told you before the season that the Cats would be 2-1 going into conference play, what would Brody Dryden think?
I mean, you can't ask for better, honestly. Going into the season, I think there were definitely possibilities or, thoughts that it could start out 0-3,
Right.
Considering how last year went against San Diego State at home and then going into San Diego, playing them, in that first stadium, obviously took care of business there. I mean, the one loss being Mississippi State, that I'll take that any day of the week,
Right.
because – yeah, 2-1 going into conference play, and now you got a couple, favorable matchups ahead. Cal, I mean, it's going to be their homecoming game, but still, it's not like your USC. They're facing, ASU. They're facing USC, Washington, and Oregon.
Oh, they've got a gauntlet right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like I feel like Arizona has a pretty good early conference schedule lined up for them, starting out 2-1. I mean, you really can't ask for much better. It's been great to see, and especially coming off a win like that. I think, if you lose 2 in a row, you drop Mississippi State, right, then lose at home to North Dakota State, you're in a lot worse position going on your first away conference game of the season.
And make no mistake, North Dakota State's good. I like trolling their fans, but that's a team that's absolutely a Power 5 level team that would win a lot of games in the Pac-12.
They were big.
They were, dude. It was funny. I was on field level, like when they started coming out, out of the locker room, and if you were there, you saw it. They were bigger than Arizona. And again, that's not a condemnation on Jedd Fisch. This is his first year here. That's a program that's been rolling now for, quite a while. But that was a big group of guys that could absolutely play. So make no apologies on that win. Arizona fans deserve it. Let's start with Jayden de Laura, though, right here. And I had overheard something that I thought was interesting. He said, Jayden de Laura, he says he's going to make some mistakes, but he's going to be able, he's got the talent, he's got the capability to be able to keep you in every game, to be able to win some games. And Big Dog, in that fourth quarter, man, he made some big time throws right there. And it's just obviously no disrespect to previous quarterbacks, but Arizona hasn't had somebody like him in quite a while.
Absolutely. And I feel like one thing last year with a few different guys that you put out there week after week, it was kind of like, you knew what you were going to get, and it wasn't going to be that much different than the previous week, where I feel like Jayden de Laura, even I mean, facing different teams in Mississippi State and North Dakota State, I think the coachability is definitely there, because Jedd Fisch talked about it in press conferences, questions from the media in terms of pressure on Delora to run the ball when he's got the opportunities and things like that. I think he took a lot, not necessarily because the media asked or anything, but, learned from some of the mistakes, watched the film for Mississippi State, and I feel like he capitalized on a lot of those opportunities against North Dakota State. So I think that's already promising early on in the season. I mean, this is a guy who's still young. I think he came in, he's got the accolade as the reigning Pac-12 freshman of the year. So there's kind of this baggage, I suppose, like, all right, this is the guy, but he's still really young. But for him to be coachable, or, really seeing that improvement from 1 week where it was a little bit tough there, to, getting the win, making those great throws, improving in a lot of those aspects, I think it's a great start for him this season.
And, he said, and Jedd Fisch said before the season, he said, we're going to play a lot of freshmen this year, and we're going to play a lot of freshmen a lot. And, you always, you've been around the game a lot, Brody. It's a lot of times you'll hear coaches say that, it's to either keep the roster happy or whatever the case may be. Jedd Fisch is playing a lot of freshmen and newcomers, and he is playing them early. You look at it, Jayden de Laura, newcomer, obviously. Jonah Coleman's getting a ton of carries. We're going to get to Big Jonah there in just a second. Tanner McLaughlin, our guy, who maybe we might be looking at the first tight end since Rob Gronkowski that's a formidable threat out there, or is at least being utilized. T-Mac, we can keep going on and on down the list, but it's impressive to do what they're doing right now, Big Dog, with the fact that you've got so many newcomers out there and so many guys that are 19, 20 years old. That's some good stuff right there. Yeah, Yavapai Duke, great point, and we're going to get to him next, but Jacob Manu, again, there's a lot of good stuff going on right here.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament, and I think some people are out there wanting to slow the praise on what this coaching staff has done, and it's a cliche that every single coaching staff across, I guess, any sport, across any professional college, they talk about the culture, and they want to have a great culture, and that's the key to a great program. But it's one thing to say it in the press conference when you're hired, or early on in the tenure. But I think that's a testament to the culture that Jedd Fisch and his staff has brought, because it takes that a really good culture to bring in a lot of different guys from different areas, from different schools, put young guys, older guys, grad students all together and make them a cohesive unit, because it's a gamble, or it can be a gamble if things are unsteady, or not everyone is bought in, and it's just kind of
and where it's every man for itself.
Exactly. So I think it's just a testament to what they've done in terms of that culture. I wonder that sometimes, where it's like, all right, what is good culture? Is that, because if you go to a job and it's like, oh yeah, we do pizza at lunch once a month or something, and you're like, well, you're saying it's good culture, but it's not really. I feel like we're seeing it in practice, and it's actually happening with this Arizona team. They're a cohesive unit, and the culture is responsible for that.
Yep, job culture means everything, because you get the most out of your employees, and you know what? It just fosters sustainability all the way around. Big Dog, have I told you about the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX?
A little bit, but I think I need to hear more, Mike.
Okay, so here's the deal. Right now, and this is for just new customers, though, you can put down $5 and you can get $200 in free bets instantly. You might say, Mike, that couldn't possibly be true. It is true. And guess what? I'm going to tell you something a little bit even more. You can also experience the thrill of, if your team is up 10 at any point during the game, you get that money immediately. It's that simple. Again, so you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and then use code word PHNX. Very important, PHNX. That's promo code PHNX in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. There's 2 NFL games on today. Why in the world would you not be part of the DraftKings Sportsbook app? Also, want to give our good friends at More Furniture a big shout out. MOR Furniture. They've put together the entire PHNX office. Looks really sharp, really smooth. Big thanks to them. Check them out at morefurniture.com. And you know what? These things, Brody Dryden is actually 6'8". He tries to tell people that he's only 6'7". He's not. He's lying to you. He's 6'8". And they have kind of furniture for all size of people. People like me who are about 4'1", and people like Brody who are about 6'8". Check it out, morefurniture.com. All right, big dog. So now let's talk a little bit about what just kind of, all right, on the defensive side of the ball. You and I we watched the Rich Rod era, and I was actually, I'm a fan of Rich Rod. I'll be honest with you. I was more than okay with it. But the one thing about it, though, is that the defense always seemed to kind of crumble at the end. You were going to have to win games 49 to, 38. Sumlin, there was nothing good really about the Sumlin era. So, but what we've seen from Johnny Manson through 3 games with this new look defense is, yes, they're going to give up some points. They're going to give up some yards for sure. But at the same time, they're also forcing turnovers, 7 turnovers through 3 games. And these have been some huge turnovers there, Brody, when they've absolutely needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I've been super impressed by Johnny Manson, because that was a kind of a risk, or just an unknown. I guess
for sure.
When Jedd Fisch initially brought in Don Brown, it was like, all right, this guy has been around the block. Right. You could tell right away he's the guy. Johnny Manson, a little bit more unknown, but he's certainly through the non-conference slate proved himself as a good defensive coordinator so far. He's got his guys playing well. I mean, he inherited a great group of secondary as well, between Christian Roland Wallace and Christian Young,
Jackson
Turner. I mean, that trio right there has just looked so phenomenal, and it's a lot better than last year too.
Yes.
I think that was one of the highlights from last year. If there was the defense, looked solid, but the offense just couldn't get anything done.
Right.
But they even look like especially those 3, took a huge step. You get Hunter Echols out of the transfer portal. Paris Shan's looking really good. I mean, this defensive unit really has been impressive. And that was, I don't love the bend but don't break term, but in the second half, that's sort of what happened. And it was a rough third quarter. I think North Dakota State put up 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. But then in the fourth quarter, that's when they kind of turned things up. And you kind of get worried, because they did look a little bit tired out there. You see some hands on the hips and stuff like that. But then, when they needed to, whether it be coaching, the mentality, or whatever they did, they really turned things up and stopped the Bison when they needed to most at the end of the game.
Do you think any of the Bison fan went to Bison Witches after their loss?
Hey, I think they got out of Tucson as fast as possible. Or if they went to Bison Witches, they changed into some more neutral colors.
Or maybe they changed into their Back the A t-shirts.
Hey, I mean, if you were selling those out of right outside Arizona Stadium, Mike, I think they'd go off like hotcakes.
Could make a pretty good profit right there.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Hunter. You mentioned Hunter Echols. You know what's another weird thing about watching it? And again, I don't mean this in condescending terms, but it's just what we've seen. Jedd Fisch has a little bit of a pass rush right now. Between Hunter Echols, who's been an absolute monster, Jalen Harris really emerging off the edges as well, they've been able to cause some problems for the quarterback. Again, Arizona has been run on, that's for sure. But at the same time, the defense is stepping up in ways that we haven't seen before, Brody.
Yeah, they really have. And that was scary when Jalen Harris went down. He got carried over into – I don't know if we ever got details on what happened to Jalen Harris during the game, because that looked scary. His shoulder or whatever. I don't know if they just had to pop it back into place or something during the game. But it was nice to see him get basically right back out onto the field. But yeah, they really do. I mean, the next step is solving the stopping the run game. But it's nice to see and I will say, going into the season, between Keon Bars, Paris Shan, Jalen Harris, I think that was an expectation. So it's definitely a good thing that they're meeting it. I think Hunter Echols was sort of a question mark. You could put some high expectations there,
but you never know for guys that haven't really played a ton.
Exactly, you never know. But that's just been like a perfect surprise. And, talking about the Jalen Harris injury, I feel like Arizona, and knock on wood here, has been relatively good health-wise,
Right.
and I think that's a huge blessing that shouldn't be overlooked. Is it seems like Arizona can get hit with a bad injury bug in the past years at certain points, but let's hope that stays, as it's going. And I think they're lucky there.
What were your expectations going into the year, Brody? I can't remember. How many wins were you looking for?
I think I was looking for like 4,
Right.
Because the betting lines mainly had it at 2.5, right?
Yeah, DraftKings Sportsbook app, code word PHNX.
Yeah, and I think I was hoping for 4, and I felt on the more optimistic side, and now I'm saying, hey, let's go to the Las Vegas Bowl.
Right.
I
oh
think
man, I'm down with that.
Yeah, and specifically the Las Vegas Bowl. I got the chance to talk to none other than Willie Tuitama last week. Yeah, it was a great time. He was on the pregame show with us, and we were talking about how in his heyday, when he took Arizona to the Las Vegas Bowl and they beat BYU in 2008, and that kind of sparked an upward trajectory in the Arizona football program, where it wasn't before that,
right,
and
sure.
that led, after the Mike Stoops era, Rich Rod came in. I'm not saying there's a coaching change that is necessary there, but it just led to Nick Foles and just some exciting times, bowl games, Holiday Bowl, stuff like that. And obviously in recent years, it went right back down. But something like that, where if this is the season where Arizona can scrape out 6 wins, make it to a lower level bowl, everyone wants the Rose Bowl. Everyone wants the New Year's
steps here, baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. Baby steps. And I think we're seeing this team move in a really positive direction. So I think 4 was before this season. Now I'm still optimistic. I'm hoping for 6 here.
So you're back in the 8 to the tune of 6 wins. I like that.
Absolutely.
Look, we're going to look at that schedule here a little bit. First of all, 2 things I want to tell you about. Four Peaks Brewery, the official brew of PHNX. Great stuff going on. You can go there. They have Cardinals watch parties. They have all kinds of different things going on there. Great stuff. And again, go. Well, I mean, it was tough to watch him last week, but watch the Cardinals. But again, check out the link in the description, and you must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly. And another thing, our good friends at Tap and Bottle, we're doing every away game watch party this year, 2:30 this Saturday. Come and join us downtown. Me, Scott, and Rebecca. Big Dog, any chance you might show up?
I wish I could, but I'm out of town, Mike.
Oh, all right. I'll let the Big Dog slide on this one. Are you going up to the game?
No, I'll just be in Phoenix, unfortunately.
Oh, going up to Phoenix. Anybody up there,
The inferior Arizona City, Phoenix.
Right. Okay. I saw you retweet me yesterday. I like that right there. But yeah, join us Saturday, though. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Now, going forward then. So you got California, you got Colorado coming up. I expect Arizona to blast Colorado. I'm not even making too much fun on them, but I'm going to, because we've been there. We know that game. We know how that works. Arizona is a much superior team to Colorado right now. And with, now with California is tough, but California is beatable. If Arizona is able to come back from that California trip and being 3-1, Big Dog, all of a sudden you start looking at a bowl game as being a real possibility, and Jedd Fisch is a possible conference coach of the year candidate.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I see Cal as a win this weekend. I think the momentum. Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Cats this weekend. Like you said, Colorado should be pretty easy. And then that's when Arizona runs into the tough stretch, because then they go Oregon, Washington, USC all in a row. I think it's good. They're not in ASU's position where they're starting off conference play, especially in the position that their entire program is right now. That is a pretty bad draw, but Arizona is still going to have to face that gauntlet here in a couple weeks, and then Utah after all that. But then, at the end of the season, ending on at home against Washington State, then at home for the Territorial Cup, I feel like those are 2 very winnable games, and I think that's where I put my 6 wins, at least where I see right now. So, and who knows, Arizona, you remember that, they love to spoil Oregon. And so Oregon's going to be at home on October 8th. And so who knows, their upset isn't out of the question with this team. So we'll see.
All right. Now, Brody, let me, so you mentioned ASU. We're going to make fun of ASU a little bit here.
I love it.
I had a lot of people over the years that were telling me, especially when Arizona football wasn't doing well and, Arizona basketball is struggling. Mike, why do you always support Dave Hickey? Here's why I support Dave Hickey. First of all, he's a great dude. Second of all, Dave Hickey gets it. He gets the big picture of things. He gets having a stable athletic department, top and bottom. You look at what he did with the Tommy Lloyd hire, which I think everybody would acknowledge was an A+. Yes, the Sumlin hire didn't work out, but he quickly realized that. And what he was able to do then is bring in a guy who, unlike Sumlin, totally wanted to be here. And then people will bash President Robbins saying, oh, he's really involved there. He cares too much. I will take those two mentalities every single day of the week over what you got going on at ASU, where you've got a coach, or excuse me, an athletic director who isn't making great hires right now. I think that's fair to say. And you got a president who certainly doesn't care as much as Bobby Robbins. I will take what we have at Arizona every day of the week, and I will run with that, big dog.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, it's just a testament to, the time as well that's been put in, because it wasn't necessarily an overnight flip of the switch, because when Dave Hickey came to Arizona, there were a lot of question marks, a lot of places. And yeah, it might have taken a mistake in Kevin Sumlin, but yet again, we always say nobody questioned it when he was hired.
Everybody loved the Sumlin hire. There wasn't one person that said that's a bad hire.
Exactly. So I think that I think it was when Chip Hale was hired, and Dave Hickey kind of said that, he wants coaches and people in Tucson that want to be in Tucson, that, want to represent the University of Arizona. They're not, it's not a place to be used as a step in their career.
It's not a place to collect a paycheck and just go through the motions.
Exactly. So I think we're, the athletic department is in a really good place in that department, just because you've got a lot of promising new young people, a lot of alumni connection, and just people who want to be there. And you could see the results starting to happen for the football team. Basketball is coming off a great year. Women's basketball is having a great year, and between softball and baseball, Chip Hale and Caitlin Lowe, you can't ask for much better representatives for those programs. Golf is doing pretty darn well, both men's and women's. It seems like just up and down the board, things are in a good spot right now.
Yeah, and just a question. A lot of people are asking me about Speedy Luke, a.k.a. Fam, on the show. Talking with some people, i.e. KB Thiel, posting right here, and what I just saw on Twitter, it appears that Fam's going to be okay. I'm not sure if he plays this week, but it seems more precautionary. Should be okay. Also, it was nice to see Fam get that nice little run right there during the game as well. So,
oh yeah, he's been very impressive this year. Yeah, hopefully he's all good. If not by this week, then come Colorado, and I feel like Arizona, and honestly, the past few years has had a pretty luxurious running back room. There's been a lot of options, and between Gary Brightwell, we've had the good combination of athletic, speedy, shifty guys, and then some good third down backs. And I think Speedy Luke is going to work out. Well, he's already working out well as a freshman, and then Coleman with Michael Wiley. Those three guys have just been awesome to watch this year.
What's funny too about the entire ASU situation is you might wonder, and it might be difficult for ASU to get a legitimately good coach. I'm going to explain why, and it's for a variety of reasons, but I also want to tell you about Game Time. It's the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score deals for tickets, concerts, whatever you at the last second. If you're a procrastinator, then this is the place for you. We had a guy in the post-game show say that he was able to get the tickets because of Game Time. We're here to help you. That's what we want to do for you. And you can save up to 60% on the tickets as well when you buy them. Again, great for you procrastinators. If you love PHNX, You love game day. The best way to support us is buying your tickets through the link in the description. Okay, ASU. Let's just say that you're a coach on the free market, or that you're a coach at a really good spot. And ASU comes to you and they're like, yeah, we want you to come here for a variety of reasons. We want you to be able to beat the A. We want you to be able to put together a successful program. If you have no clue what your sanctions, the sanctions are that are coming down, why in the world would you take that? Because again, it seems like if I know at least what the sanctions are, cool, but it doesn't feel like the NCAA is anytime close to telling ASU what they're going to be doing with them.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of jokes. Well, I mean, not jokes, but I feel like I've just been seeing names tossed around, like Urban Meyer and just kind of guys that have like character issues.
Yes, everyone with a character issue we're throwing at ASU.
Yeah, it's like last chance you, but instead of for the players, it's for the coach, and it just doesn't make. At least I wouldn't be if Arizona football had their head coaching position, I wouldn't root for somebody like that. Now, I don't believe that, a guy like Urban Meyer should just never be employable again. But what was it, like 6 months ago?
I get it.
Yeah. What was it, like 6 months ago that all the drama and everything
he's
happened?
Kicking players on the team and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's like, all right, I mean, not forever, but maybe give this guy a little bit of time to learn. I mean, he went back to Fox and Nebraska wants him now. And, I get wanting the wins on the football field, but I mean, just ethically, it's kind of like these people are going to be shaping the minds and leading a group of young student athletes.
Leaders of men. And Urban Meyer does not strike me as a leader of young men.
Exactly. I mean, sure, he might get you some wins, but then if there's another controversy, or if he continues with, the practices that he had in Jacksonville, right, and whatnot, obviously it's a different situation and with a pro team to a college team. But so I don't know. I could see the desire for the wins, but that one just seems weird. And again, if this was like even like a year or 2 years or whatever down the line, I might understand. Or people saying John Gruden, I don't know if that was legitimate. Yeah, I don't know if that was legitimate, but it's like, I don't know if that's, really the line you should cross. But yeah, Arizona State's definitely in a tough situation. I mean, I think one of the good routes, with the name being tossed around, the offensive coordinator of Oregon, or another coordinator kind of trying to get their foot in the door, their first opportunity there.
How about Kevin Sumlin? Would you be opposed to Kevin Sumlin getting the ASU job, Brody?
I think that would be a great move for Arizona State. I think that would lead them into prosperity. And you can't dispute it.
No, and listen, if you're on the AZ Wildcats podcast and you're saying, man, who would they hire? We're going to go on there and try to find that one out. Here's what Kevin Sumlin can bring to you. He's been at one point, he's collected paychecks from like 4 different schools. He's been a professional coach now. He's probably ready to get back into the college game. He knows the state. He knows the 70-7 debacle. Why not put him on that side and just see what he can do?
Hey, he's a part of the Nick Saban coaching tree after his stint as an analyst at Alabama after he left Tucson, right? So
I love it. Yes.
I think that says a lot right there.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, Jesus VAZ, totally agree with you. We need earlier starts. Now for the young bucks, like, the big dog, Allie, who might be watching, it's totally cool. But when you got the old timers like me, it's like, oh, come on, man, we need to have something a little bit sooner than that. But it would be nice to not have 8. And it's
I agree. I don't love the 8 o'clock kickoffs either. But I just announced the Colorado game. The next home game for Arizona is going to be at 6:30. So that's a pretty reasonable kickoff time.
6:30 is so much different than 8. You know what? Maybe we're making movements in the office right there just by the strength of the AZ Wildcats podcast and the code word PHNX. It's hard to really know. Brody, I was going to ask you, because I didn't want to do a short change here. Can I get you on next week and we can have a full thing on Arizona women's basketball?
Sounds good.
All right. Everybody out there, awesome interactions as always. You guys are all the best. Appreciate all of you. Brody, first of all, I love your jersey setup. By the way, which is that Raptors one behind you? Who is that?
Oh, that's me. That's me. Me and me and my roommates in college, we all not an authorized jersey, the Raptors one. We just found a website that customizes NBA jerseys, and we all got our favorite teams, and we hung them up in the rafters of our college house.
Right.
And so we each did a personalized ones for ourselves. So that one's mine.
Well, that's the great thing about the AZ Wildcats podcast. It all stays between friends. Nobody will know. So,
absolutely.
All right, Brody. As always, I appreciate you, my man.
I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
All right, everybody. We'll be back with you tomorrow. William Brad Alice. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.